Welcome to What's in My Drawers Golf Talk. Jim McCleary here in the McFitting room. Why is it What's in My Drawers? Because old club fitters, club makers are tremendous pack rats, and I am amongst them. Welcome to the 3/8 edition, and this is a discussion on golf equipment fitting, repairs, opinions, whatever. We can talk about golf equipment all the time here. And it's gone worldwide, and I thank each and every one of you for joining me. Again, if you would like and subscribe here, and that way you get more of the videos when they come along, because we also do have videos on those topics. And if you are interested, you do have aprons, and aprons not necessarily for club making, but for those of you that would wear it for barbecuing. Personally, I don't, but I have a different, actually I do, I just don't wear this one. Anyway, they come in large and the extra large, and they're American made and American grown, the whole 9 yards. And if you send us an email, Robin will take care of you. Clubmaker@mcgolf.net or mcgolfshop@roadrunner.com. Now that we've got all that taken care of, here's where I tell you about all the work that I did. We did a bunch of work this week. We were just absolutely cranking it out, to the point I took very few pictures. I'll even show it to you here. All I could do was take pictures because we were moving and shaking in such a fashion. It wasn't even funny. But I made this was really quite cool. I made a driving iron, a Wilson driving iron with an Acra FX X-Flex. Very, very, very sharp. Has a very nice top line. Has a weight in the bottom. It's a hollow body model. Very, very sharp. The Acra shaft. I'd like to get that to you. Let's see what else we did. I did the CBs, but I'm going to show you those here in just a second. Alrighty, so I'm not wasting all of your time. We redid some of the TaylorMades. I think you may have seen those. Redid some TaylorMades. Amongst others, I made a bunch. Wilson was the winner of the week. We built a bunch of D7 forged. They all turned out very, very well. And finally, what we are making today, or what we've made, and this is going to Canada, to Steve, that guy. All right, the CBs, and not only the CBs, but the CBs 3 through the gap wedge. Now, it's been ages since I've made a 3-iron, and this is the 5, but it came out very, very well. Now, Steve wanted special ferrules. There they are. They're from the BB and F group, these guys. All right, special ferrules. These are the extra longs. I am not a fan of the extra longs, but I do like this style. They make it what they call a shorty, which is a 1-inch. Now, I can get behind the 1-inch. I think it would look good, but man, I tell you what, if that doesn't look old school, nothing does. And they just turned out really, really, really good. So I sent an email to Steve just a few minutes ago to tell him that they're going to be on here and what we went through. So what we're doing is we're taking the CBs, and we're putting them into the Acras, and they're called the Eco Satins, okay, the Acro 125s. Now, Acra is very much known for their graphite shaft options. This is their first foray into steel, and what they did is they combined the best of the Project X right here, and then the rest of it in the dynamic gold from right about there, the dynamic gold from there, all the way back. So it's a Project Gold or a Dynamic X, whatever you want to call it. But one of the things was it's what they would call a green shaft. Notice all the green behind me. That's for March and St. Patrick's Day, Irish McGolf, the whole 9 yards. However, this is all green, and what they do is they've got it in a coating that instead of using solvents and stuff, it's a water-based coating on it. And if you look, it's a steel. It has that brushed satin on it, but it is not. It's not part of the shaft. It's actually a coating. And there's some special measures you have to take, but it's very eco-friendly. And that was one of the things that we were looking at. And then we put an Align grip on it. So it's the white with the green Align, the BB&F ferrules onto the Wilson Staff CB. Had another fellow from Kentucky in yesterday hitting on those, and we're ordering another set for him. Those things are taking off. They're doing very, very well. So Steve, if you're out there, that's what we're doing. And I have one more. Also went into and he got the Wilson Staff wedges. A little bit of a marking for him. Now, as you can barely see, what I did is I ghosted in some skull and crossbones, meaning that kind of half in. It's not a real solid in there because I didn't want it to be the center point. I wanted that to be the center point, so there's just some slight markings. Now, what happened here is, and this is the part I told Steve, is that they only sell them in sets of 10, and we ran out because he started at the 3-iron. So we went with the regular black, right? Well, what had happened was halfway in, or after the job was all done, I had everything done, Mrs. McGough looked at the notes just as a last final check and realized that Steve wanted all the shafts to be logo down. Well, we went to checking and all but 2 were not logo down. So back to the drawing board they go, and I have to take them apart, and I did. And we ordered another set of grips, and we ordered another set of ferrules just in case. And so now I have extra ferrules, of which now I have to take the wedges apart and put them and put those guys on there. So now Steve is going to have a full set of them, which is exactly what I was looking for, and that was on me. So hey, good for my mistake is his advantage. So that's what it turns out to be. Didn't impact anything. That's how it works out. But now, for any of you guys going forward, thanks to Steve and our contact with him, we now are able to touch these guys, meaning that whatever you see on their website or something custom, you can go through us and without, and save a little bit of money, meaning that instead of ordering it from them, paying the shipping, all this stuff, and then shipping them to me, I can order them, they come to me, and then it's not any more of it's no upcharge that I'm aware of. So it's all, the price is the same for going on. So we should be good to go. All right. So we did that one. I want to tell you, we did a bunch of fittings, and the best part is the variety of people. And we had a gentleman from the middle of Illinois come down, and that was a fun fitting. All right, that was a fun fitting. Got him straightened out and on the straight and narrow, and that worked out really, really well. And then we had another gentleman from North Carolina, and he was a lefty, and he was 58, and he was a lefty. 58 and a lefty. Just turned 58, just had the birthday. And we got him worked out, and the best part of both of these were the look of, you're like, really, are you kidding me? Is it really doing that? Yeah, it really is doing that. So we did especially the last one from North Carolina, he was just kind of almost scolding the golf ball, and I was like, what's the matter? And he goes, it's just a look of disbelief. I can't believe I'm hitting it like this, which was good. That's what we really, really want, right? And that's when it makes it all worth it. And you see those types of reactions, the improvements people make, and that's why you go and get fit. Now, if you're going to a fitting, it's an educational process, and it shouldn't be a sales pitch, right? Everything should just fall into place, and it is what it is, and you know it, right? And what does all that mean? So, if you come in with the idea that you need to be hitting blades, and no, that's not how it's going to work out, or the shop might, or the big box store, or the big shop might have, you know, an excess of TaylorMades or whatever, and I'm just picking that as a maker. You all of a sudden might be pressured into buying a TaylorMade or whatever it becomes, right? And that's not what it is here. It's whatever fits, and that's the recommendation, and that's the way it should be. And learn a little bit something about your game, a little bit something about how you swing, why certain things fit, all that kind of stuff, and that's the fitting, okay? Now, on to some more fun stuff. We are getting ready to reorder the McGolf towel, right? And they have every color under the sun, including camo, some sort of digital camo-y kind of thing. And we're going to limit it to just a select few colors, maybe just 4 this time. We had 8. That's too many. So we're going to limit it to 4. So down over here in the comments, if you would, if you were looking to get one of these, what color would you like? And they, you know, there's white, light gray, dark gray, black, brown, red, green, yellow, pink, camo, oh, just all kinds. But just throw out what you think would be useful on the side of a bag, okay? Another thing is that we're getting close to St. Patrick's Day. The Irish guys will like me for that, St. Patrick's Day. And Callaway came out with Truviz with the clover on them. It's a limited run. If you guys like Chrome Softs, they're out there. If you can't find them and you're looking for them, we do have them and we can ship them off to you. I took a 12. They're going in my bag. And then last but not least, I want to tell you the video that we are talking about, the video that we're releasing tomorrow at 7, will be concerning those guys. The Apex Hybrid. This is the Apex Pro. The Apex Pro, and then the Apex. Okay? Apex Pro is a little bit bigger, or I'm sorry, the Apex is a little bit bigger than the Apex Pro. They're both 4s, but the Apex Pro is a 23 versus the Apex is 21, and about 1/2 of an inch of difference. And I did some testing, and we talked about the inside of it, much like we did last week on what goes on in the inside. We talk about it again, and how I hit them. And holy moly, I got a hold of these things. Now, let's put things in perspective. I am a hybrid snob. I do not go through hybrids very fast because once I find something that works for me, I keep it. And in the hybrid, I've got the original Epic, the original Epic one. So that we're going back at least 6 years. And I took it out there, and Bob, have you seen in the Bob and Jim show, has said more than once, why do I pull out the driver when I have the 2 hybrid? So, yeah, it's a good club for me, let's say that. And the 2 is an 18 degree, okay? And on a few handful of shots, now I'm just a few, this is not every one, on 1 or 2 occasions out of 15 shots, this reached that level. Now, that's all the planets in a line. That's a once-in-a-lifetime kind of shot. However, I am easily a hybrid longer with these. Easily a club longer. So if that translates all the way through the set, I can see Bob wincing even as we speak. This guy hit just as far. As a matter of fact, they weren't too. The funny part for me that the hybrids didn't hit too much different from one another, and they should have been, I would say, at least 10 yards difference. Not so much, but that was for me, and I was hitting them the same quality of hit with virtually the same spin. I was just hitting it about a mile or 2 slower, and for no other reason than I was. But I did throw a few out there at the end, and you could see I started out at 92, 93 mile an hour, and as I was going down the 15 swings, by the last 2 or 3, I was up to 99. That's just getting warmed up. So definitely has my vote of hybrid to choose for certain. And then coming later in the week, I got the new ZX4 or ZX4, and it's the hollow-bodied iron from Srixon, and it had the 950 GH Neo in it from Nippon, and if you're wanting a ball go far kind of club, there it is, and it went far. And again, the one time, the very last shot I think I shot, the one time I turned and I made this big, ginormous pull, but I pulled it and I hit a 6-iron to 230. I felt like Matty on the doggone TXG, where he hits those balls out of sight but once. But the rest of them were well over 200. I was 204 on the average carry and almost 220 with this thing when it rolled out. So, you get a hold of it, it does really good. That's coming out in another review. It's ready to go as well. Alrighty, I think I talked your ear off. Oh, and we didn't talk about the latest and greatest with the Arnold Palmer Classic, right? Let me get this up here. And we all know who won. That was, man, I tell you what, the Twitter, all the social media, just everything lit up the minute he won. Congratulations to Bryson DeChambeau. Now, if any of you guys were watching, those guys were creaming it over that pond. Somebody hit one 349. Really? 349? That's just crazy long. Absolutely crazy long. And congratulations to Lee Westwood. Man, I tell you what, all he needed was just one really good hole, and that would have went into overtime for him. And he was pouring it on as much as he could, just couldn't quite get there. But Lee was pounding it out there as well. Now, we'll go to the very end here, and then we'll go back to Bryson. Of course, Ricky Fowler, he closed it out early at a +5 for a total of +11. I don't know what's going on with the young man, but needs to get his head squared on straight. So the thing with Bryson, everybody's about how long he is, right? Just hitting the ball just out of sight, just way out of sight. And that's grand. However, it was the short game that made him win, right? There was two or three instances where he had to sink some very long putts for par. And if he didn't sink it for par, he's in a tie and he's playing off for the game, and he sunk it with his putter. All right, so it just goes to, the whole idea of the drive for dough, or drive for show, putt for dough is still well and alive, even though there will be books and things out there to the contrary. Now, it's not to say that long distance doesn't help you, with shorter irons in, and that can all do that. But if you can't get it there and be in a good spot, it's useless, which brings on the other old saying is the woods are full of long drivers. So there's a little bit of balance that you got to have there. And his short game with the wedge was pretty solid too. So just keeping that in mind, yes, it's fun to blow it by your buddies and have bragging rights, but if you blow it by your buddies and you're in the fairway bunker or you're four layers deep into the trees, that doesn't do you any good. And Bryson was another case of that, where he was 20, 30 yards in front of Lee Westwood, and they both came out with the same score. So just means to show you got to have the entire game. All righty, guys and gals, let's see what we got here. Let's go to the top. All righty, Mr. Bartholomew, how are you, sir? The game, if anything in the last couple of days of testing is any indication of what's happening, oh, buddy, I'm going to have a good day. So and today it got into just, I think, 57, 58, not quite 60. It's gorgeous outside. And so the peoples will be playing. And to let you know, Mrs. McGolf said I could do this. Your clubs came in, okay? Your clubs came in. So what we're doing a lot here lately, just so you guys know, is the OEMs and getting parts to us has been a terrific tug and pull match. And sometimes they have stuff, sometimes they don't. And what some of the companies have been doing is letting me buy whole entire sets, and then I disassemble them. And they give them to me at not necessarily a component price, but at a lower price than what I would have to buy if I was going to turn around and resell it, knowing full well that's what I was going to do. Now, that's only a few times. It's not going to be a normal way of doing business, but The lead times on some of these things are just ridiculously long. And this is one of them. Pardon me. And so we get them and we're taking them apart. So some of you club guys out there, if you're looking for shaft pulls, I got about 3 or 4 sets of brandy new things that you could turn around and put into somebody else's. So there you are. So Charles, we are on our way, buddy. I've got them. It's just a matter of taking them apart and putting them together. Doug from Florida, 70s all week. I wish it was there. Finally here for the live. Way to go, Jenny. And there's the sis checking in. Did all the snow melt? Phil, how are you, sir? Highland Park. I've seen that. I've seen Highland Park. It's out. So let me show you this one. In my, what's the name of the place? The Crystal Factory. The Crystal Factory. Anyway, McAllen number 6. McAllen number 6. And I'm here to tell you that I have found out that there is another plateau of the malt. Totally smooth. And I will check out Highland Park because there is a place around here that does have it. Thank you. Waterford Crystal, that's it. Mike, how are you doing? From Buffalo, looking into new Fairway woods this season and looking for recommendations, just looking for opinion with all your experience. Okay, from a Fairway wood. So I'm going with what, again, off of TXG because Matty hits one heck of a golf ball. The Mizuno, right? The Mizuno ST line is very good. And the predecessor one I've seen and had out there, and they are very good. They're very good indeed. That would be a surprise sleeper one, I would say. Another one that would be extraordinarily good, it would be, in my opinion, is the Callaway Epic models with all the technology that's in it, to be sure. And if you're looking for one that doesn't dive so deep into the wallet, I'd take a look at the D9. That thing's a solid club. I'd take a look at that. All right. Mr. Phil just received the hosel brush from Golfworks. Now I can reshaft my irons. Very good, sir. That thing is a beauty when you put it in your drill. I go through, anymore, I will go through, I don't know, and the 335, right? The 335 and the 370. I'll go through in a pair, I don't know, 3 or 4 pair in a year now. And that's just how often I use it. All right. David, Jim, hope you're staying safe, and hopefully you guys are getting to that. The CDC, which is the Centers for Disease Control here, has issued some new guidance, and typically that follows suit across the medical realm, that if you get your injection or you get your shots after so many days after the last shot, that if you're inside with other folks that have gotten shots, mask and social distancing won't be required. And if you're in with people, say, from your family that haven't gotten the shot and you know their history and where they're from, that's not a problem either. So it's a little break there. I'm gonna take that all I can and take that as a win. So we're good there. All right, when installing 335 shaft in a 370 hosel, don't. Oh wait, 355. Okay, never mind. I'm sorry. I thought it was 335. Okay, when installing a 355 shaft and 370 hosel with the shim, how much shaft insertion depth do you expect to lose due to the shim? It's the width. It's basically the width of that shim on the bottom. So about like that, right? So what it is, it's a star pattern, and what it is that the shim is a star pattern, and what it does is it goes like this, and then it clamps down, and then you push that into the hosel, and it's normally just very, very small, and for me over here, 1/16 of an inch, maybe whatever that equates out into millimeters, but but a 1/16 of an inch, maybe a couple millimeters, a millimeter or two max. And it's just whatever that width is, because what they do is they have that the metal at a given width, and they just press it out and then bend it up. And that's so just take it at that. But as far as the side's concerned, no, just the bottom. All right, Mike, getting fit. Good job, buddy. All right, let's see. Can you change that and insert Versa putter? No. The inserts are outside my realm, and it's a good thing too, because if you have the Versa, even the number 7, you could possibly call Callaway, because I've had a few other folks call me with the, on that particular model, or even the model after, it had the metal mesh on the front, and the metal mesh had a tendency to peel off. And if you have that going on, just give customer service a call and they will take it back. And so far what I've seen is they're replacing it with the O-Works face, the one with the fingers. It's really cool, much better feel to be sure, but I would try them first. Mr. Matt, 72 from the Whites, enjoying the weather. Question: what determines center head on the most? Length, lie, pine, hope is all as well. Matt, do you study these questions, man? Because so far you're hitting them out of the park. All right, so what determines the center hit the most? All right, the most. So I would personally, for me, it's length. Length is the key to consistency. Now, what comes in right after that basically would be the weight. All right, it doesn't sound real popular, but the length is what drives the consistency, and the weight is what allows you for manipulation, and you can find the middle. Now, tweaking, lie angle for sure, is another one. Path and face angle are also indicators of where you would be hitting them on the face, and then it gives us fitters and teachers ideas of what we need to change in order to get you into that, assuming you're not going to change the path or give you something that will help you change path. So hopefully that answers that question. Stamford, Connecticut. Rodney, how are you, sir? There's Passe from London. Thank you for joining us, sir. I know that's late night out there. Syracuse. Thank you, Peter. Has the snow melted up there yet? I know you guys are due for some warm weather. All right, David, with yours number 6 iron set used for length fitting, what weight shaft are they? Also, have you swing weighted them all the same? Have you left the line angle equal to always? Thanks. I use standard weight, David. It's all the 120-ish. In fact, these clubs are so old they date me, but these are Dyna Light, right? Dyna Light golds. If you remember back in the day when they had the bands around them that were gold, those are dynamic golds. And the purple bands were Dyna Light golds. And the Dyna Light golds actually fit way more people than the dynamic golds ever did. And I happened to have a whole bunch of them, and they tuned them out, so I turned them into the fitting clubs. Now I made them all the same flex, right? Made them all the same flex, and I did not swing weight them because I wanted to see, as part of the testing, whether a lighter club would, if you would get a signal from the golfer, whether or not you would see a lighter, oh, this feels lighter, oh, this feels better, and kind of gives you a gauge of whether or not you have to really pay attention to that. So no, I did not. Lie angles, yeah, I adjusted those, and those are adjusted half-degree increments, so they all sold the same, assuming the same guy. 6 weeks out from knee replacement and hitting the course on Wednesday. Unfortunately, back to work today and tomorrow. Well, Willard, everybody's got to go, man. But keep us informed on the knee replacement. We definitely want to see that. Jake, I like the icon, buddy. And from Facebook, thank you for watching. When weighting clubs, what should be the difference in weight from head to head? 7 grams. 7 grams. That's what it should be. Now, you can give or take a gram, so if it's 8 or if it's 6, it's not a killer, but 7 grams. All right, here we go. Is there any paint you might recommend for a putter line that can be found at Home Depot? Well, I'm not a big Home Depot guy. However, what I have seen used, I use what's called it comes in a little bitty can like this, and it's from it's pinstriping paint, and it's like a beginner's pinstriping paint, and because it dries quick, and it's very thick too, so it takes a good wipe down. But what I would use from there, if you can go there and you can find any paint in one of those pens, not like a gel pen, but big paint pen, those are what I would use. And those make for really good fill lines. Matthew O'Malley, how are you, sir? That's not a bit Irish at all, is it? Bob's on. There's David. How are you, sir? We were just talking about you if you didn't hear. Glad to meet you on the weekend. For anyone interested in listening, I would highly recommend making the trip. Get McFit. Well, thank you, David. It was fun meeting you too. Remember, right? Swing fast, not hard. Fast, not hard. And we saw David making quite the improvement, which was a good thing. All righty. There's Brent. How are you, Brent? How are you, sir? All righty. Andrea. Here we go. John Gleason, or Gleespin. John Gleespin, sorry. Sure miss you and Jim. Can't wait to purchase a couple of aprons. Well, good. Give us a holler, buddy. Well, thank you, Matt. Thank you very much. It was a good thing. It was a good deal. All right. Jeff Ridgway, you did a video earlier. Is in there?
No, that's John, Kate's stepdad, or whatever you call John.
Oh, okay. We had the peanut gallery again. You did it earlier, and you had some Nippon shafts that were all painted green. Where can you get them for my wedges? Enjoyed your trip to the World Golf Hall of Fame. Jeff, they were having a special at Nippon themselves. All right, they were having a special themselves. I don't know if they still offer them or not. However, I still have 2, and they're 115s. That was all they had, because they used to have 105s, 115s, 125s. I have 115s. If you're interested, let me know. Outside of that, you're going to have to go to Nippon directly. Now, I saw where they had some black ones. Normally, you see the green ones as part of the Masters program, but with them coming up on St. Patrick's Day, chances are you might see them again. But if you don't see them, let me know. All right. All right. Here we go. Seymour, what do you got, buddy? What are your thoughts on high launch driver shaft with Callaway OptiFit green dot? I want my 10.5 Epic flash, and I want my 10.5 Epic flash, and turn it down to 8.5. I'm not quite certain what you're asking me here, partner. With an Epic OptiFit green dot. I don't know what you mean by the green dot. And if you want to take your 10.5 and turn it down 2 degrees, I don't know if the OptiFit allows that to go. In most cases, Callaways are -1, +1, +2. and so that's going. Now, high launch driver shafts are typically they typically show up because of profile and the way that they're bent. So you have the butt, mid, and tip. And each manufacturer thinks getting to a high launch is either moving bend points or flexing tips or flexing butts or something, whatever that manufacturer believes, right? And they give you that. And typically it's always accompanied by low spin. So you get a high launch, low spin. If you're got a 10.5 and you're hitting it just really, really high, and I'm taking a wild guess on this one, and you want to turn it down to an 8.5, well, let's just assume that on the top of the head, we'll use this as an example. If you're hitting a lot of the club, or and if you're hitting them up here, okay, if you're hitting them up here and you're putting a lot of glow marks on the top, the idea of, and somebody has told you that you just need to tee it up more so you can hit up more and get through there, and you just hit it up more. That would be poor advice. All right, and when you're doing that, that typically means that you're coming into the ball with a down angle, meaning you're coming into the ball instead of like this. There we go. You're coming in it like that. And in order to counteract that, there's a couple of things. Number one, the first thing you should do is tee it down, and tee it down as low as you possibly can. And take a few swings and just watch what happens. And the ball's still going to get up in the air, it's still going to go, and it's still going to be pretty doggone good. And then the other part is probably shorten the club maybe just a little bit. Choke down on it maybe a 1/2 inch, 3/4, and see what happens. If that's not the case and you're just hitting it high, and that's because of you're hitting it with good strikes and in the middle of the face, then just turn it down to the 9, and then I would get away from the high launch driver and go into something more players like to help you out. Blue or red? Blue or red? Oh, blue or red. Got it. Blue or red with the mat. Okay, we got you. Got it. Took me a minute. Yep. She told me. Sorry, man. Brandon likes the camo, and we got one just for the fun of it, and it sold first. Can you believe that? It's the gray, not gray, the brown type camo with the leafy kind of stuff on it. It's really good. Charles, the gray works. It does work. They do have a red, white, and blue one with some stars. All right. How was tour week? It was pretty good, man. It was really, really good. Learned a lot. Played a lot of golf. Like to go back. Chicken waffles were awesome. All right, Matthew. Thinking about getting one grip of Jumbo Max medium size to try out. What are your thoughts about the grip? You cannot go wrong. All right, Matthew, you cannot go wrong. And now keep in mind, there are plenty of styles to choose from. Their standard one is, has the regular taper, from really, the medium width down to something big, and it's standard issue. And if that's something that you're looking for, then that's the way to go. If you're looking for where your bottom hand seems to struggle a little bit, they're also making a straight tapered one that comes in medium, and it has a holder on the back of the grip so you can put those like Arcos dots or the Good Golf or golfing, those things that monitor your game. It has a spot for it so you can put it in the back. So that was really, really, really good. So, but yeah, you can't go wrong with either one. And and hit it, let it go, play it a handful of times, and put it on a club that you're really going to use, not one that you don't use a lot. Otherwise, you're not giving it a fair shake. Lincoln Talk with Bill and Jacques. Look at that. Nice. Gray towel. There you go, buddy. All right, gray it is. Sunny, 62 Michigan. How about that? Dave, it's almost like a heat wave, isn't it? after weeks and weeks and weeks of nonstop 20-degree weather. In fact, it was 21 this morning, and it turns out it's 60 or almost 60. It feels like a doggone heat wave. All right. How many times have you reshafted your hybrid to favorite one? Never. Never have I reshafted it. I'm just funny that way about some of those clubs. There are some clubs I don't have a problem ripping them out and putting them back together, but once I get a hybrid and I know that it's working, I basically don't touch it, because normally it's the guy that's shooting the arrow, not the arrow itself. And like I said, I've fallen in and out of love with this thing a handful of times, but it always comes back. And these last set with, either the Pro or the regular one were very, very impressive. And I have to say, very, very impressive. Now, I will say there was a very, very close second, if anybody's in the mood for a hybrid, that the Mizuno CLK. That's a real deal, man. Yeah, I'd check either one of those out. It wouldn't be a problem using either one of those. There's my man. Pooey, what's up? 3 weeks and counting till you can go golfing. What's the best products for touch-up paint on chips on wood heads? Ooh. There is one out there. Go to you're on it, but after we're done, go on YouTube and say painting a golf club head. There is a guy out there that did it, and he did it with a white, and you do a little bit of sandpapering, and then you cover it up, and it looks really, really good for what he did. It's going to take you a little bit, but the results are very, very nice. And I still believe they still make it. All right. If not, if that's not your deal and you just want to touch them up, GolfWorks used to have touch-up paints. Now over there, you try the was it Diamond Golf? Guys in London, they big guys. They have a whole bunch of stuff. I would check with those, because I bet they would have something that's over there local for you to be able to get. There you go, Chris. Well done, buddy. Mine was a little bit higher, and then I got the Germanic Nomad. I am all from the Ireland, UK, Scotland, all that. I mean, if they put all that pie chart that they give you and all that, it was like foomp. And then there's this little piece over here to the right where they're dramatic. So yeah, I know where I'm from. Greg McIntosh, how are you guys? And I know you're in Queensland. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Nice and hot here in sunny Queensland. Oh my goodness gracious. Hey, Greg, tell me something. I saw a thing where are they still doing it, where they have this, it's a golf trip where you basically you drive and you hit this outrageous, it's like a par 12 or something. You get through it and then you pick up and then you get back in the car and you drive another several miles or kilometers, and then you do another one, and it takes you basically a week to play a round of golf. And I believe that was in Australia. Let me know if you've heard of that. 0-degree weather to shorts and a wife beater. Yeah, I'm telling you, dude, this thing, it's crazy. Absolutely crazy sometimes. Ricky needs to go back to his Titleist golf ball. Those Bridgestones aren't doing him any favors. Well, a lot of pros get kind of funky when they do change equipment, even going into different clubs where they've done all this testing, and then they still say, well, I'm still getting used to it. Well, you're the one that did all the testing. But so it's really, I don't know. When will he get penalized for a slow play? I don't know, bud, but I know that's a bone of contention with some of the folks that are out there. And every time they get him, I think he picks up the pace just enough to get out of trouble and then turns around and slows back down. Another vote for Highland Park. Okay. Is that a Speyside or is that a Highland? Well, actually, it's Highland Park, so it's from the Highland. Okay. We'll get it. Are the D7 Fords 370 or 355? Charles, they are 355, but they're rapidly getting ready to become 370. I've been doing that. I had a mound of shavings from doing that from just about every club. It was about like the size of a small baseball. That's how many we've done. All right, Don Golf Nut. There we go. I finally got it right. All right, Rainy Horn. Okay, looking at adding a 7-wood smooth medium driver.
I bought taper per request.
Huh?
I bought taper for Charles.
Oh, well, never mind. They're going to stay 355. How about that? The Peanut Gallery speaks again. And did right. And you're welcome. Thank you. All right, Hornsey, UK, looking to add a 7-wood. Smooth, medium tempo, driver 210 average, looking to add the Wilson D9 or Equits Fairway Woods. Any recommendation? If the rest of your set is not single length, although the EQ can be made into not a single length, my personal opinion would be the D9. Okay, the EQ1 Fairway Wood is nice to be sure, it really is, but I think it hits its stride when it's in a single length format, not necessarily a standard. And I can't explain why just yet, and it's not that I'm holding a secret. I just haven't really formalized my philosophy on it other than what I've seen. But the D9's more set up for that kind of stuff, and I would go with the D9. All right, I emailed Bang Golf to see if a particular driver was legal, even though it's not listed on the USG site. The email back saying it was. Can I or should I trust that fact? Yeah, I don't see any reason why Bang wouldn't tell you it wasn't legal. Worst case, you can ask him to show you the email from him telling him that it was. But Bang Golf, the original guys at Bang Golf, I knew very well, and they're a good bunch of guys, straightforward, everything. They had a really neat little line going, and I don't know what happened to them, but apparently they're still around. But yeah, unless it's some crazy, over 460, some sort of super bounce type of face that they have in the description, which would tell you no. If it just says, hey, we're a really good driver head, then yeah. Because Bang used to make they were, when they first started, they were long drive heads, and they were stout. So, yeah, I wouldn't have any problem with that. I asked Jim about lining up shaft adapters, spine and flow. What is the best way and how to line up? Alrighty, Brent. So here's what I would do. When you have a shaft adapter and you put it in the setting that you want, so you put in the setting on it you want and put it in the head. All right, you put it in the head, and then you flow the club as a whole, right? As a whole, and that way you. With that adapter on there, that's where you would go with that. And then that's because the head has its own geometry, which would make the shaft do its thing. And then that way, for that club head in that configuration that you would be able to, and then you get your flow. That's what I would do. Now, if you don't have the head, you still have to figure out where the back of the adapter is, right? Some have little bitty lines, some have where it says standard or 0 or that type of stuff, and it's got to be to the bottom. You want it at the bottom, and then put a weight on it, and then try and get it as best you can that way. Sweden, and it's cold. Full set of Jumbo Max Tour grips, small from irons. The Jumbo Max awesome grips. Yes, you can, especially those particular kind, and not have to even worry about it. So good for you, sir. I'm glad. Do I use TrackMan or another club system for club fitting? I use Flight Scope, Brent. I have the X3, the first generation of them. Little snow. All right, BC. All right. There you are from Lombard checking in. Thank you, sir. There's Steven. Just got your email looking for the rewatch on the episode. Thank you for all you've done. Greatly appreciated. Well, since you're here, right, if you're watching, let's see if I can show you. There you go, man. There it is. This is the 5. And I've got the Acra underneath so you can't see it. And that was the problem. I was telling everybody that I had them all balanced out and everything, and we were doing our last minute check before sending them out. And the logos were everywhere, and we finally read that you liked them down. So I took them apart, put them back together, logos down, and I came up with a few extras. So you're going to see those on your wedges now. How about that? So good for you, buddy. You'll be shipping it here in just a few days. Maybe even just a day, actually. How do you clean a rust mark off in the center of forged irons? Well, Pedro, not to sound really awful stupid, but 2 things. One, with a wire brush and some hot water. If that doesn't work, a Brillo pad. If you've seen those, the Brillo pad, they have steel wool and they have the detergent in them. And I use that, and I get really, I don't scrub really hard, but I do scrub. That's probably the first 2 that I use. And then for me, around here, I have a wavy wheel with a nylon wheel on it, a nylon cleaning wheel. So if you had one of those wheels about this big around, about that wide, with nothing but the nylon cleaner like a greenie, and you could put it in a drill, that would do it as well. From Kingsland, is that how I would say it? Kingsland, David Mitchell from Kingsland, England. Good job. Should iron fittings be done on grass and not mats? They are a completely different surface. You are correct, sir. They are a completely different surface, but honestly, I don't see the benefit there's no benefit of staying on one or the other per se. One could argue that yes, it's on grass, it's going to be more real, you're hitting off of turf and these kinds of things. However, the fitting is to find out how you swing, what your tendencies are, the things that work for you, okay? Now, not all mats are created equal. The mats that you see at driving ranges, which are pieces of carpet about this tall and whatnot, no, don't hit off of those. Then, yes, those would be totally 2 different surfaces, totally 2 different aspects of it. But like Fiberbuilt has a mat surface that is that thick with bristles so that you can get through if you take a divot. If you get through and you get heavy, it will let you know, and you will hit it poorly. And you can do something like that. And there's another one. It's something feel mat. Anyway, if you're using those, then that one I would think you would get a quality fitting on. All right, I thought somebody was out there. And then the other part is that on the mat it puts it on a very, very good lie each and every time. So that's where you want to be when you do that. Is that the idea of fitting is to be able to give you the best possible setup so that you can get the best possible club. Yes, you will always be hitting out of a divot, but we're not fitting you for hitting out of divots. We're fitting you for hitting off of turf. And that's what the fitting's all about. So again, if the mat is the right kind of mat, I would tend to go with the mat. If you're in just the very thin stuff, then yeah, I would prefer to be outside. Mississippi, heading to Frankfort, Kentucky next month. Hope to come up and meet you. Well, very good, Gerald. Let us know when you're around. Maybe see if we can't make some time for you. All right, Jake. Building my first set of clubs. What would be the difference in grams between each? I think I answered that one, bud. 7 grams. All right. There we go. Highland Park is very peaty. Ooh, not a peat fan, dude. I think that's probably the reason why I haven't drank it, because I have seen it from being in the Highlands. I do like Highland though, in the fact that it's got a kind of a bite to it. I don't mind that so much as I do the. I'm not a big smoky flavor guy. Mike's still got 6 to 10 inches of snow. Holy smokes, dude. Alrighty. Yeah, Ardbeg. I've had some of that. Oh, and I'd be a boy. I tend to stay around the Spey side, and I go north and south, and just a little bit to the west, but I don't venture too much out of there. The Islay stuff. I tried some of that. Ooh, I did it, but man, oh man. All right, Jim got me a trip to Key West yesterday to work for work. Too bad. uh, Key West. Oh my goodness gracious, that's a place to go. And too bad they don't let you stay over a couple of days just for the fun of it. If you haven't already, will you be doing a preseason primer on setting up your bag? Yes, I will. I was just thinking about doing kind of a what's in my bag kind of thing, and what to do and how to set one up. That's a good idea. And yes, we will be doing that. What's your favorite thing to barbecue? Now we're talking, Danny. You know, the thing is, my propane smoker blew over the other day, and it's a total shambles, and it's dead. So now I've been looking at pellet smokers, and which is, I think, a Stumps works off of that too. I know it's a vertical, and it is very, very cool. But I'm not going to be a competition guy. But I'm looking at the Rec Tech. I don't know if you know anything about it. Let me know. But I'm trying to find a pellet smoker, one that will actually hold a brisket. Some of the vertical ones aren't big enough to hold one. They're really small. And then if you get the really big ones, then they're really short, and so you can't do other stuff. And then I found one on a Pit Boss that was on top of a pellet smoker, and it seemed to be really, really nice, but it's new, and I don't know if the build quality is there. The Rectech has one, and I do like it. All 304 stainless. Now we're talking. For you Navy guys out there, 304 stainless ought to be something, right? Okay. Camilio, here, pardon me. Excuse me. How are you, sir? Hopefully you've been out golfing. What are my thoughts on the Hepler putters? What are any recommendations? I do like ping putters, and the Heplers are pretty nice. They have a little bit more. I don't know if I'm down with the color scheme, so to speak. I'm not a big copperish brown fan, but the coloring with the black is really quite nice. And but as far as models go, you can't beat the Anser look. Okay, for today, did the upgrade from M1 TaylorMade worth it to a sim? Camilio, I am not a TaylorMade guy, so asking me, I would certainly not give you something based on fact. But from what I have seen and the stuff that goes inside the sim, it certainly is an upgrade. All right, it's an upgrade from the M1 to the sim as far as the quality or the technology that goes into it. Assuming everything's equal and it truly is fit, you should see an improvement. Currently work and do fittings at a nationwide sporting goods chain. Good job. Jimbo Earnhardt. Well, good first name, buddy. Love the job. Take it very seriously. Finish Callaway U and the KBS Cert Pro. All right. Who else has a good one? Acra has one, but it's for their shaft fitting. If you guys are using a lot of True Temper product, they have the PFC, so the Performance Fitting Center. That would be something to go check out. Certainly a good one there. Choking down about ½ inch on the driver, it seems to help with the dispersion and doesn't affect distance. That I can tell. If I cut it down, what will it do to the swing weight? Jerry, you're going to see something along the lines of 2 to 3 swing weight points. However, I doubt you will notice it. If you're choking down and it doesn't feel bad, you're probably not going to notice it using the same style grip. Sonny V, how you doing, buddy? I knew Ontario. I wondered if you were still covered. Can you comment on your process for determining iron shaft weight during a fitting process? Sure. So what we do here is one. What I do is we find the length first, okay? And of course you've heard me say that I have standard weight, so it's the 120, 125 gram shaft. And that's just a fine length. It has nothing to do with the swing. However, at that level, you can see people and how they maneuver the club. Now, what I do is I take a video of their swing using the Huddle Technique app, and I take a video of their swing. And what I do is I play it in real time. And because when you take it and you slow it down, and you can slow it down, you get to see where they transition, how they transition and stuff, but you don't get the feel of how violent or how smooth it is because you're stopping it, right? It's good to know where and when you slow it down, but then I let it and I'll play it at full speed. And what I'm looking for is somebody aggressive in their turn or is somebody fluid in their release, that kind of stuff. So how I explain it to people is there's basically three types of golfers. There's one that is, I call him Nick Price with a shaft. It's basically Zorro with a club. It's like very aggressive on the takeaway, very aggressive on the downturn, just totally aggressive. And then you have what we would call down the middle in golf, and that would be Tiger Woods. That back with a mission, forward with a passion, right? And just loading up on going through, basically type A golfer. And then the other one is where I call Tai Chi on golf, and that would be Ernie Els, right? Just smooth and fluid. Smooth and fluid. And then what that helps me with, and they all swing the same swing speed, and they all need a different shaft because of the way that they load it, right? So you could probably get away with a flex lower on Ernie, right down the middle on Tiger, and something higher with Nick. Now, as we do the other part, that's one category. Then we get into weight. And typically the guy that's more aggressive would prefer a higher weight, where the guy in the middle is standard issue, and you can go a little bit either way, where the guy that's smoother would prefer something a little bit lighter. That works about 95% of the time. There's always going to be that odd man out, or somebody that you just see something work because the profile has changed. But so that's how I get to that process. Then when I get to that weight that I think, okay, we need to be a little heavier, then I will hunt it down. We'll use maybe a 65 gram shaft in a driver, a 70 gram shaft in a driver, and if I was to have one, an 80 gram shaft. Now, typically when you see 80 grams, it's an X flex, so it becomes detrimental. If somebody's very violent and they only swing very slow, you're not going to get that. So 60, 65, 70 is a typical kind of numbers you would see, say, in a driver. In irons, it can be a little different in that you can start as low. In my opinion, the 120, 125 is pretty much a dead shaft for the average golfer. Now, the stronger golfer, the more accelerated, the more Nick Price, then yeah, there they are. And there can be some others. There's just, these are categories, right? But the 105, 110 is pretty much is where a lot of people can find a little bit extra swing speed, not losing any control, that kind of stuff. But now, as you've seen, and I'm sure you know, that you can get as low as 60 grams in graphite, maybe even lower, 40 and 50, and then work your way up into 100. Well, in steel, it's right around 80, 90, and then you can go up, and then you can, find your way in those categories. And then that's how we get it there. So, experience to get you into those categories, then testing for the last two. 18 holes on the new knee. Nice. Life is good. There you go, bud. I'm glad that it's doing good for you, James. Glad to hear that. Do I agree with Tom Wishon's current suggested initial fitting for woods and irons and the 3/8 between the lengths, the iron lengths. I do to a certain extent. And I do build the 3/8 inch lengths, but I only do it when the club is short. So if I have a limit, so whatever standard length is, whatever you think your standard length is, if I fit somebody and I find that they work really well at an inch short. So let's say 38-inch 5-iron is standard, and they hit a 37-inch 5-iron, and this is a guy, and it would be 36.5 for a woman. Although we'll skip that part of it. Anyway, if it's an inch short, and then when an inch short, what it is, I go 3/8, 3/8, 3/8, 3/8, 3/8. And in particular, I do that so the pitching wedge isn't so stinking short. It ends up becoming a 1/2 of an inch short and very manageable. And what it also does, it's a poor man's version of MOI matching. But that's what I do. And outside of that, no, I stay with the 1/2 inch. There's Ray Farrell. Effective loft. Effective loft. Well, Ray, I know what I do a lot with effective bounce. Effective loft, in most cases, it would be a combination of the actual loft of the club and then how you approach the impact area. So if you're a guy that, let's just use a number 30, right, and you use a 30-degree club, and you come into it and you shut it down 2 degrees. Well, effectively, that's 28 degrees. And there are some people that tend to release early, up and out, and they add loft, and so you might hit it 32 degrees. And that would be effective loft. Now, if you really, 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 really want to get technical, the path can impact that. Like outside in, for guys that are outside in and they leave it open and they hit this really high and then it fades to their outside. That's because they left the face open and they're cutting across it, and so this is a high. But every once in a while you hit this big line drive to your inside, and that's because your face married up with your path, and so it was effectively a little closed. So there's a lot that goes on to it, but the bottom line is you take the loft of your iron or your driver, whatever, and then at the way that your angle of attack comes into it, and then there's your effective. Woo! Let's get back up here again. Oh man, I can't believe Mrs. McGolf isn't over here getting on top of me for saying, hey. There's Dwayne. Dwayne, that tip that Malaska gave me, I'm not as far as you, buddy, but I come in a really close second. Oh, now that I said it, she's on me. Okay. Yeah, no, you weren't, because I've already said it. You have a delay. Okay, let's see. There's Ray. Effective bounce. Well, okay, effective bounce. Effective bounce is the measured bounce of a sole. Let's see. I happen to have one here. This would be a good teaching device. Normally it's approached in wedges. So basically, it is the width of this sole right here, the width of the sole versus the actual measured bounce. Now, that's a little different than effective loft. All right, so for instance, let's just say the bounce is 10, and it is very narrow, and that would be standard. All right, so that's a 10-degree bounce. Now, we know that we have lots and lots of wedges out there, and they tend to get wider. All right, you have some wide grinds, you have some of those things that never get stuck in a sand trap wedge, all that kind of stuff. And as it gets wider than standard, the effective bounce gets bigger. All right, it gets wider. So if you see, and that would 10 could become an effective 12, 14, whatever. And that's the reason why you see some of those clubs with those really wide soles with real low bounce numbers. because like an 8 or even a 6, because they're so wide that their effective bounce is so much higher. All right. There you go. We are getting it there. Is flowing a shaft worth the money? Well, David, I don't know what you're being charged. I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but when we do a build, spine and flow is just part of the process. It's just a natural thing. Now, there are processes called, I'm just getting ready to say it, where they do it by the computer, okay? And doggone it, that just makes me so upset that I can't get it right. Anyway, there's processes. They do it by the computer, and it finds it from a digital point of view how to insert them into the club. And if you're one of those folks that likes the pure, there you go. Robin's all over it for me today, and and it's puring, and it's about a 50-50 split. Some folks won't live without it, and there's some people that won't even come near it. So it becomes one of those things. If you're very, very sensitive to that kind of stuff, then yes, it's very much worth it. If you're beginning golfing and that kind of stuff, then I would say no, I wouldn't sweat it too much. Okay. Let's see. I got about 3 more guys, and then we got to go. Did you see Bryson playing with his driver on Saturday? No, I did not. I only saw the Sunday stuff, and he was just, you could see the thing bending. It was crazy what was going on. All right. Here we go. Bo was saying it's from the Orkney Islands northeast. Ah, okay. The Islay, Bo, I've had one from Islay. It was a sampler piece, and holy moly. I mean, I got her down, and I stood up like a guy, and I said, "Yep, that was really, really good. Thank you so very much. Now, can I have another one?" But no, outside of that, ooh. All right. Oh, did I see him adjusting his driver on Saturday? No, I did not. That would be a violation if he did it during a round. All righty, let's see what we got here. Thank you. Here we go. Well, hopefully so, buddy. Hopefully so. Envy of the AGC. I see something golf committee, so very good. We're going to do our best to get them right for you, man, and we will get them out. The grips are very sticky. I really like them. They're really, really nice. Here we go. Left Coast Baseball. Rec Tech is the only way to go. See, I got me. Hey, is that a picture of one right there in your icon? Or is that something else? Have to take a look. All right. Monell's the other one, buddy. 304. 304 Monell stainless. That's it. You find a grill made out of that stuff, it's going to stay solid forever. All right. Okay, 2 more guys, and then we are done. Will Kelly Lord, when regripping clubs at home with multiple wraps of tape, how do you avoid buildup on the seam of tape so you don't feel it? I turn it, all right? So what I'll do is I'll stick the tape on this way, and it folds around that way. And the next one, I'll come from the top, and I'll do it like that. And the next one will come this way, and then the next one comes up. I keep moving where it goes around. So for that very reason, and I do that regularly, for that very reason. So good question. All righty. Let's see. Get down here. I'm just skipping right to the bottom. All righty. Where's the big one? Here we go. Joe Lane. BJ and putter grip is nice. Love it on short putts and long putts. Had trouble from 12 to 15 putts. Need to practice more. Thanks for the advice. Well, there you go, Joe. I'm glad that you like it. Bob came and got yet another putter, and we put another BJM on that one. So there you go. All right. Let's see. Here's a new one. Biani Garcia. Thank you, sir. Glad to make it for the session. Well, I'm glad. you got any questions next time, sir, just don't be afraid to ask. All right, and here we go. Ashley just got new wedge Cleveland Ripcord video of the gapping. Okay. Well, you're in 4 degrees. That is very, very typical. Okay, that is very, very typical. And if you find, and don't be afraid to adjust 1 degree one way or another to get, if you really want to be precise with them, go out and hit, once you're warmed up, go hit 20, 30 golf balls with each one and just see where your good average is at. And if you need to make just slight adjustments, because everybody hits them a little bit different. Just because they're 4 degrees apart doesn't mean that you're always going to be 10, 10, 10 or 15, 15, 15 or whatever it be. You might be one of those guys that just loves your gap wedge but kind of struggles with the 58. And so you might have to turn them around and just, play with the loft and it's just tweaks. It's a degree here or there in order to just truly dial them in. And take a look at the lie angle. And there we go. All right, guys and gals, thank you so very much. It has been an absolute pleasure talking again as we take the last bit here. That's my first Macallan I've had in ages, Phil. But again, guys and gals, thank you very much. Watch for tomorrow around 7 o'clock my time, which is Eastern. We're going to talk about the hybrids and how I hit them. And shortly, towards the end of the week, you probably should see something on the Srixon ZX4. That's where that's coming from. Again, if you're interested and you want to keep dirt off of you, the McGolf apron, there you go. And give us an email and we'll tell you all about them. And as always, guys, thank you from around the world, Australia, the UK, all over the coast. It's just unbelievable. I appreciate the support and I appreciate the fact that you're asking questions. And guys, as always, let's see your scores go low.